Hi YouTube friends, it's Anna. Today I am wearing red, which is my favorite color by far, just so you know that. Also, one thing I want to start off saying is that indeed I have a scratch on my forehead, like, so you don't have to figure that out. It's not a mystery, it's a scratch, and it was from a branch. Okay, so let's move on to more interesting things. So, what am I going to talk about today? That seems like a good question to ask. Although, of course, you already know from the title. Um, so, how to deal with the question, what do I want to do with my life? That is the question I'm going to answer today. And it is a very deliberate choice of words. And I'm not going to tell you why, because that would be a spoiler of something that I want to reveal throughout this video, I think. So, yes, you just have to trust me on that. So, I am an INFJ. That's just something that's always in the background going on in all of these videos. So, always the perspective I am giving is of an INFJ, even though this video is not really about MBTI necessarily. So also, if you don't know about MBTI, you can definitely stick around for this one. And I think it might be relevant to a lot of people. So, what to do with my life? What should I study? What is my calling in this life? Should I follow my passion? Or should I make a more practical choice? What is it that I want? What is it that I want to do in life? Like, what role do I want to take? These are all relevant questions around this topic. And I see that so many people around me struggle with this question because, especially in my age group, it's really a thing. And I have traveled a lot in the previous years, and the kind of environments where I ended up, they are particularly filled with people that don't know what they want to do with their lives, and that's kind of how they end up in that situation. So, yeah, a lot of my friends, they are struggling with this question, and I have struggled with this as well. So, I am, I think, what you could call an experiential expert on this topic. So, like, since it's such a hot topic for so many people around me, and since I'm also an experiential expert, I thought, let's make a video about this, because I can imagine that it's definitely useful for a lot of people to get more input on this topic. Okay. So, one of those questions I mentioned was, what is my calling? And I have quite recently read a book that was like mainly about that. And it was Mastery by Robert Greene. Mastery is about finding out what your calling is and how you can pursue that calling. And like Robert Greene always does, if you have read any of his books, he's always using examples of people that were successful to explain his point of what is the best strategy to do something. Like, I think how that book is most relevant to this video is that he is, like I said, talking about finding your calling. And to summarize what he says about that, it's He says that it's like the thing that has always mesmerized you since you were young, like the thing that you were always doing in your free time, the thing that you were so curious about and always interested about, and that you always wanted to do, or like the thing that was always a consistent theme throughout your life. And by looking at those things, he is saying that you can find your calling. I believe it's also called your vocation in English. That's a word that I learned a bit more recently. So to give you, like, I will provide you with how that works for me. That thing that Robert Greene was saying, because in that way my vocation would be understanding people and being in some way involved in relationships and understanding people's behavior, because even when I was much too young for it, I was already reflecting on what other people were doing and kind of what was not constructive in people's behavior also, and like explaining the dynamics in situations, etc. So yeah, even when I was very young, I was philosophizing about how like humans work in their heads, etc. So that has been my consistent theme throughout. And at some point, I did not like humans as much, and my attention shifted more towards animals. But I think that was really like through bad experience. So essentially, my vocation would still be to work with people's behavior, which is very consistent with my interests right now and what I feel is right for me. So, next thing I want to talk about is that to deal with this question, you have to focus on the core of what you really want and take your action as much in alignment with that as possible. Because often when it comes to the things that we're like doing in our lives around this topic, they are kind of indirectly trying to fulfill our needs or desires. But it is much more useful to look at what is behind what you are doing, like what is it that you really want or need. And once you find out to strategize what is the best path forward to get you to your desired outcome in the best possible way. Of course, step by step, usually little step by step. Because I think it's pretty hard for a lot of people to find out what it really is that you need. And it also depends on the person. Especially also depending on type, I think people have a very different way of how they deal with this topic, and the solution may also be slightly different, but I think still that there are some universally things that can work for everybody in these recommendations. But I think by providing my personal journey in finding out what I wanted is very useful in that. So another very important thing is that you should be practical about it. So you may have like this very ambitious career plan, something that you want in the future, something that you are working towards. But it's very important to look at what you can do right now. Like the small steps that will get you there. And also in a way that you will actually be able to enjoy the journey of going to that destination. So I think that in this point, I will kind of reveal why I chose that specific title of how to deal with the question of what do I want with my life. Because I don't think you will ever really find the answer. And the first step into really like becoming okay with this question is accepting that it's an ongoing journey of asking every day, what is it that I want today, and what am I going to do today to work towards that. And then also each day be willing to change your course, and also have that patience to follow those steps. Not focus too much on the outcome. I think you are really making it hard on yourself when you are like, I don't know, 20, 18, whatever, and you ask yourself this question and you are expecting an answer of like, this is what I am going to do. This is what I'm going to be essentially for all of these years of my life. Because what do I want to do with my life is very ingrained with defining your identity. That's really how it works in our society. And it's really such a big burden to feel like you have to answer that question like, boom, now I know this is my role, my identity in life. Like, that's, in my opinion, just not realistic. There are very few people that have that. And probably when you feel like you are struggling with this question, those people that do know, they're really going to stand out to you. And you're like, why am I not like that? But I think that's really a minority of people. And even those people, they may have struggled with the same question before. So yeah. Like, look at it as a journey, as a process of finding the answer to what do I want to do with my life every single day again, and make the decision every day again which will bring you the most fulfillment in that moment. Of course, you're often working longer towards a goal, but yeah, it's important to take it step by step in that way, to make that question something that you can actually work with. Because if you are really looking into the future too much, it's really, really not going to work. I can tell you from experience. And then finally, as far as advice goes, I would advise you to be critical about higher education, especially university, and really think about if going through university is the most useful thing for you to reach your goals of what you want to do. Because I think in our society, it's really just like default that if you have the like financial means and enough intelligence to go to university, you are kind of expected to go. And And I think that has a lot to do with status as one of the main reasons, apart from perhaps financial reasons. Like, it's much more high status to have had higher education, and I think it's very good to be critical about what kind of role you want status to have in your life. Like, do you want to ruin all of these years of your life and spend all of that money, get all of that debt just for having a higher status and being able to show that paper, which is like a something you can put on your resume. God, words. For me, I realized that with what I wanted to do, university was really not the most direct way. And during those years that you are in university, you are spending so much time on studying, and I really felt like there was so much irrelevant stuff. And I just want to bring to you awareness that when it comes to learning about things, for example, psychology, which is my main interest, going to university is not the best way to learn the most about that, interestingly. So, like, if you went through those previous steps, especially focusing on the core of what you want, and like you found out the answer you have, like, before you, your goals, your wants, your needs, whatever, then it's like the right thing to do is look critically at what would be the best way to reach that goal or profession that you are aiming for, and like realize that very often it's not necessarily university, but maybe trade school or even other forms of learning. And sometimes you can really just start, for example, with trade school, and then like throughout time learn more and increase your skills and maybe move on to other things that you want to do. I think I want to add something more to Insight 3, be practical, take small steps, and live in the now. Because like with words like vocation and stuff, you can become very idealistic about what you want. But I think it's very important to really think about the thing that you think you want, if you would actually enjoy to do it. Also, all of the consequences that come along with it. For example, if you want to become an artist, you also have to embrace the idea that you are not going to have very stable, good finances. And you have to be okay with that part of that which you want as well. Or you have to find a solution of how you can earn enough money with it, have a stable enough income, and still do the things that you want. So, what you want really comes together as this holistic thing that includes the consequences and just the daily reality of what you are doing. So yeah. Just to give you a little summary of my advice. Find your calling, your vocation, and you can definitely read the book Mastery by Robert Greene if you want to know more about that. Focus on the core of what you want and take your actions as much in alignment with that as possible. Be practical, take small steps, and live in the now. And be critical about higher education and what you are really doing it for. So, that was it for now. I think it was quite a long video. I hope you had the patience to stick around. And I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, I would love it if you would leave a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I post a video every 2 weeks. And I love to read any comment that you have for this video, for me, questions, whatever. I always read the comments and I often reply. So, have a nice rest of your day. Bye.